is Radio Romania International. You are listening to our 1-hour broadcast in English for listeners in Western Europe and Africa. We can also be heard on the internet at www.rri.ro Channel 1. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter and other social media platforms. Our programs are also available on TuneIn and via satellite Eutelsat 16A on 11,512 MHz, vertical polarization, azimuth 16 degrees east. Symbol rate 29,950 mega symbols per second, standard DVB-S2, modulation 8 PSK, audio PID 510. We wish you good reception conditions.
Host Elena Enake bringing you the news, but first let's take a quick look at the weather picture. It's getting warmer in Romania today with maximum temperatures ranging from 0 to 10 degrees Celsius. The noon reading in Bucharest was 3 degrees. And now the news, the headlines. Romanian authorities expect the number of daily COVID infections to exceed 40,000 as of next week. The Secretary-General of the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, Matthias Corman, is today paying a visit to Bucharest. And the Romanian Foreign Minister Bogdan Aurescu said Thursday that he saw no problem for Russia or any other side visiting the military base in the Veselu, southern Romania. The U.S. called Thursday for the United Nations Security Council to hold an open session to address concerns about the threat to international peace represented by the buildup of Russian troops at the Ukrainian border. Russia has amassed more than 100,000 troops on its border with the former Soviet Republic and is engaging in other destabilizing actions targeting Ukraine, which is a clear threat to the international peace and security and to the United Nations Charter, said the U.S. Ambassador to the UN, Linda Thomas-Greenfield. Monday is the last day of the Norwegian presidency of the Council, presidency that is to be taken over by Russia starting February 1st. Convening a Security Council meeting after this date would complicate things for the United States, given that it will be Russia setting the Council's agenda. The West fears another Russian invasion of Ukraine after the annexation of Crimea in March 2014. Moscow is against Ukraine's joining NATO and the alliance's further enlargement towards the east, and demanded a return to the NATO configuration before the countries in the former communist bloc had joined the alliance. The Romanian Foreign Minister Bogdan Aurescu said Thursday that he saw no problem for Russia or any other side visiting the military base in the Veselu in southern Romania, and convinced themselves there was no threat to Moscow. He invoked, however, the principle of reciprocity, in keeping with which NATO members, Romania included, should also be allowed to visit the missile base on the territory of the Russian Federation. Also on Thursday, Bogdan Aurescu discussed with his Bulgarian counterpart, Teodora Genčikovska. The two officials expressed their firm commitment to Ukraine's sovereignty and territorial integrity and discussed about a possible joint meeting in Kiev in sign of solidarity with Ukraine. In another development, Romanian Defense Minister Vasile Dâncu had a telephone conversation with the U.S. Defense Secretary, Lloyd J. Austin, about the security situation at the Black Sea, NATO's posture on the eastern flank, and enhancing the American presence in the region. The Secretary-General of the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, Matthias Corman, is today paying a visit to Bucharest, shortly after Romania's accession negotiations with this body have been opened. Prime Minister Ciucă said that in the presence of the OECD chief, the Economic Space for Romania is launched, a document presenting a radiograph of the country's social and economic situation that offers solutions that should generate development and well-being on intelligent, sustainable and inclusive grounds. Romania's accession to the OECD is a strategic goal after the country's NATO and EU accession, Ciucă explained. Made up of 32 countries, OECD is an international organization that debates global economic and social policies, an apolitical association of the strongest economies tasked with consolidating economy in the member states, perfecting market mechanisms, expanding free trade, and contributing to economic development. Some 31,724 new infections with COVID-19 in 24 hours have been reported today in Romania, along with 60 deaths, of which 2 from a previous date. Wednesday saw the largest number of new infections since the onset of the pandemic, 34,255. The number of new cases is expected to rise as of next week to more than 40,000 a day. Around 8,000 are treated in hospitals across the country and 730 in intensive care units. 85% of the latter are not vaccinated. And that was the news.